hate expectations, but this car, you expect it to feel a certain way a little bit, and GTIs are basically religion to a lot of people. It doesn't matter if you're in your 60s, 20s, 30s, 40s. It seems like every age group is into GTIs. Like there's a small niche in every age group that just loves these cars. Someone in their family had them, someone has one, their friend has one. It's the first quick car they ride in. GTI stuff is huge. So with all that, you kind of have this expectation that it's gonna be some sort of awesome when you get into it for the first time. And when I drove one of these cars for the first time, I was like, what is all the hype about? It's really smooth, it's really nice, but you expect it to feel sportier, and it's just not. But I will say, you put it in sport mode, it gets way more peppy. All the personality shows right there. Your DSG personality shows immediately. Your responsiveness, everything, it just feels sportier. But even then, I was still like, what? Like, this is all this car's got? Stock? I know what it's capable of because I've done my research, but I was kind of let down at the stock driving experience. And if you're new here, that's something that you'll hear me talk about a lot. Well, two things actually, personality and experience. What experience does this car bring with its personality? And what is the experience like at first compared to the experience when it's done, when it's at its highest level of personality that you can squeeze out of each platform? That's what I'm all about. And with this car, I was pretty let down in stock form, the personality. The sport mode is extremely dramatic compared to all the other cars I've ever had. You usually put it in sport. It's a little, in the tuning, you have the throttle percentage. So like a tuner can make it, and your car feels faster. What they do is when you press on the gas, let's say 25%, they say, hey, at 25% throttle on the pedal, let's make that 50% throttle with the ECU, the computer on the engine. So when you press it, a quarter of the way down, 25%, it's technically flooring it halfway, but you're thinking, oh, my car's faster because it took a little bit less effort with your foot. Those are things that change with tuning that can sometimes mess with your head, and tuners can use that to their advantage. But I make it sound like it's some sort of evil. It's much less than that. It's just something to consider. You'll see things in products like something called a pedal commander, and all that does is change the mapping of the throttle position in the tune, which is what I just explained to you. So the mapping of the throttle is actually really dramatic in sport mode versus normal mode in this car, which is cool, but it makes almost drive mode seem unbearably slow. And it's just, do I pick sport mode and it's too dramatic, or drive mode and it's too slow and it's unbearable? A stage 1 tune, I'll tell you right now, fixes that. Drive mode is excellent once you get a stage 1 tune. Fixes those problems. You're gonna like it a lot. The second thing I want to mention is that for the price point, this car is so smooth. It almost puts itself into another price caliber, in my opinion, because the DSG transmission, which is a dual clutch transmission, is so good. It makes it feel really, really nice, and anyone that's not familiar with cars drives this thing, they're like, man, this thing shifts so crazy. Like, what is this? You're like, oh, this is just, a standard turbo hatchback that is affordable for a large percentage of you guys out there. The way it drives is not exactly explainable with words. You really gotta feel it. Something I wanted to mention that I feel like was fitting for this video is I've never had a car, of all the cars I've never had a car where I go to a gas station, I get stopped by a 16-year-old, or I make conversation with a 16-year-old about his GTI, and then I went to a title and tag place, and a guy in his 60s pulled up in a GTI and started talking to me about mine. That's a huge age gap, and most cars are not like that, so I think that's something cool about GTIs that I just had to throw in there that I found out right away after owning one. If you've had quite a bit of seat time in the other cars in the class of the GTI, you're definitely going to be let down, and you're not going to be in favor of the car. You have to trust people's word on tuning these cars. That's where all the personality comes out of. Then that's where you get the cool driving experience that people talk about. You just won't understand the hype of these cars until you tune them. I'm not saying that you have to tune it to have fun with it, but I'm saying you're missing out big time if you don't. Before I directly answer the question, the last thing I wanted to talk about was, let's talk about the Ford Focus. You have the SE model, which is a basic daily driver, and then you have the ST, which is a sport version. Just absolutely sporty, only in manual. They don't make them anymore, sadly, but they're out there. In the same category as the GTI, all that, obviously. But the SE is such a basic daily driver, and the ST is just pure sports car. They're totally different from each other. But the GTI, Volkswagen made this car, I feel like, in a way that, in my opinion, combines those two ideas of the Ford Focus models and puts them into one. This car is so good at being quick and comfortable. It's really nothing like the Focus ST or Mazda Speed 3 in a lot of ways in a daily driver situation. Those are great dailies, but they aren't at the same time in small situations. But most of you guys are like me. You want to drive something sporty. You don't really care if you have to shift gears every day, even if it's in traffic. But if you're the type of person that kind of wants the best of both worlds, this car is definitely the move. To address the title precisely, though, the answer is yes. To what extent? Depends on what's relative to you, is the best way to put it. If you're coming out of a bunch of different sports cars, you aren't going to think this is fun to drive stock. But if you're experienced enough, you will understand the potential in the DSG if you go that route. And two, how tunable these motors are, how well they accept mods and stuff. But if you are coming from not very much car experience, this is absolutely going to be a blast. It's quick, it's fun, you've got two great transmission options, and we'll talk about why I chose the automatic here very soon, and then you can kind of take those things for what it is and help you make a decision. So I hope this video gave you guys some context to the subject. When you're wanting to learn everything you can about a car before you buy it, you hope that it's fun to drive stock. And I will tell you, when I bought my 2015 Subaru WRX STI, I was so let down. That is the lamest car stock, versus when they're modded, they're absolutely one of the coolest cars to drive ever. Stock, oh my gosh, it's bad. I would say this car is pretty close to being that bad, because right now, the exhaust note and everything you're hearing, I have the car fully at stage 2. Downpipe, catback, intake, intercooler, tunes. It's a completely different car, and you're missing out if you leave it stock form. So I highly recommend modifying this car if you get it. Don't put yourself in a stressful financial situation. Most of you guys out there that are watching might be younger. Just go slow with it, enjoy the process, have fun. Don't go in debt with car parts. There's all that Affirm and stuff out there. I'm just gonna go on a little rant for a second. Don't do that. Focus on yourself, get your ducks in a row. Don't stress yourself out to try and keep up with your friends. It's not worth it. You'll end up turning something that is fun into something that you hate and stresses you out. You don't want to associate stress with the things that are fun in your life. So take that for what it is. Hope this helps give you guys some context. I appreciate you stopping by. New videos every Tuesdays and Thursdays and most Sundays. And a podcast every Wednesday now. Karma Speed Podcast. Click on my YouTube channel. Go to the channel, scroll down. You'll see the other featured channels, and you'll find the Karma Speed Podcast. Go check it out. If you like it, hit the subscribe button. Let me know who you guys want to see on the podcast, and we'll try and get them on and have a good conversation, maybe touch some topics and stuff like that on my Instagram. Also on the podcast subject, on my Instagram, I'm always posting a story before the podcast of what questions you guys want me to ask the guests. So look out for that. I appreciate you guys. I'll catch you in the next video, and have a good day, night, evening, weekend, weekday, wherever you're at. Appreciate you.